And then when I got there, the Lord told me, I didn't bring you here to be a celebrity. I brought you as my mouthpiece. Sometimes when instructions are louder, you become sensitive because you know what has given me this position is if I do this thing. The day I stop doing this thing, then this position automatically dies.
What was your work life? What was your work life? What am I trying to ask? The time that you worked at I Choose Life.
Yes.
What do you feel? Tell me a little bit about that. Just break it down.
When I got into I Choose Life, number one, I was doing something I was not trained in. Background, I'm a geologist. I'm here now running communication. I was given the first job I was given was to manage radio stations because we used to air, the ICL was more connected with reduction of new HIV infections among the students and also managing students that have new, HIV infection. So what happened is that we used to do a lot of radio conversations within the schools, the community radios and all that. So I used to manage and facilitate how those are running. We're in Kenyatta University, Daystar, USIU, and also Nairobi University. So I was managing majority Nairobi. USIU was one of the hardest area to penetrate. But I remember, by the grace of God, we managed to penetrate and just have conversations, have health weeks where we test for cancer, test for HIV, and if anyone turns positive, we had the concept of follow-up and just seeing that they are absorbed into medication. Then later...
And did people turn up over this time?
People used to turn up. Especially there was like a glow-in-the-dark wristband given. And I tell you, guys will turn up for the tests. It was amazing. And then we came up with what we're calling the moonlight VCT. Hiyo ni saa 6 usiku. Unaenda solo, hakuna mtu anajemeenda. That used to be very successful because there are guys, the stigma behind it.
Yes.
So there are people who feel I just need to go alone. So used to run like a 24-hour kind of testing and all that. Because at that time the government was saying many people don't know their status, yet there's a lot of sexual activity. So later the statistics came and we realized that the rate of HIV was early pregnancy, or what they call crisis pregnancy, was on the increase, especially among the campus students. So now we had to step in and begin to teach them on contraceptives. Now all these things I'm being trained, how to make materials, how to make awareness, how to make publications and all this. But there's a place in that job where I felt like my values were being compromised because they now gave us targets on making sure that these students actually take the contraceptives. Because how do we know they've heard the message? But the Christian in me used to take them through the lectures, but I was loud on abstinence. Because the injections and all these things have so many controversies around them. And in 2014 in Kisii, I remember we went to a technical institution and I distributed more than 60,000 condoms in less than 5 minutes. I saw people run for condoms. Madame na maboy wakibeba mabox hivi. And I looked at it, and that's when the voice of the Lord was loud. This generation will not be changed by contraceptives, and it will not be changed by these processes. They need Jesus. And that's 2014 November. That's when my contract ended. It was not renewed, but the voice of God was so loud, and the Lord told me, I wanted to expose you to the mess. Of course, so many lives were helped because of these interventions.
Yes, of course.
A lot of counselings. We had time to talk about crisis pregnancy and how people need to take care. It's only that sometimes when donor money comes, there is an objective.
Yes.
But I was so intentional in my conscience, I'll not sell the objective because I'm the one on the ground. So I'll go and just tell them, guys, you know what? This is my target, but this is my objective. For me, I know abstinence is the safest way of survival. So, and I felt like I was given that job because of my faith. Because now you are a gospel artist and you're on the front line on TV as a media personality gospel. So you are able to penetrate in territories which are considered to be quite religious. And then you begin the conversation. So when I saw that, I said no. I said we need another conversation as a generation. because when you look at the reality, there's no contraceptive that is manufactured locally. So someone must have seen the population of Africa and seen that population as a market. Then when you look at what they are calling the side effects, the concept of infertility, people not getting children in the future, because some of the injections, you can't verify them. Whoa. So to achieve my target, it was very easy. I'll tell them to take those 2 tablets, unatujua, tule to Femiplan. There is a very important protein hapo, vitamins, inakuanga. Uto 30 days. So niko naambia chukweni, kula hii vitamin. Hiyo ingine tupa. Because me, I'm not encouraging you to be immoral. But the vitamin is good for your health. Kula hiyo. Then me achieve my target, I've distributed. And you eat the vitamins and, we all focus. That one I felt I wouldn't lower my guards on that conversation.
Man, that were you still now in, was it Rwaka? You're telling me you're in?
Yes, I've lived in Rwaka all my life, even now.
Even now?
Yes.
That's funny. Yeah. And at this time, of course, you've not met your wife?
No, this time I had not met my wife, of course, dating here and there.
Okay.
I said I dated all my choices until God gave me his choice. And they ended in premium tears.
Kuna vitu zingine hazikuchange immediately.
Hazikuchange.
Okay, so let's go now into KBC, because you talked about it. The reason why I want to go into this KBC era is because you have been your brand, and I say that beyond your brand is known for, you're a straight shooter from the word of God. And it's good that you've even explained this whole apostle, and even behind the scenes, when I hear you talk, I'm just like, first of all, there's some things about you that have never changed from even when I knew you as a musician. I remember me and you would be one of the guys who would talk more than sing. Would use music as an excuse to capture attention, and then we talk more than we want to sing and whatever. And I get it. But you've been known to say, even now when you're talking about your job, you've been known to just say, these are my values, this is what I'm going to say. Let's talk about your penetration into media.
Okay.
You've told us how you got in, but now tell me about KBC. How does it affect your life? How does it affect your brand? What kind of impact do you have? Why are you still on it? What the evolution of digital? There's so much to talk about that I didn't want to just rush through this.
What I'll say is that, number one, media space is very... when you're out of the media...
And also the hard question, who watches KBC, bro?
Yes.
Let me stop being politically correct here. Yes. Who watches KBC?
When you're out of the media is when sometimes you discover how powerful the media is. Media is an agenda-setting platform.
Very.
And many people talk in the media, and I feel like our voices should also be included in the media. We have to be intentional about the media. KBC has a solid, I think, viewership because it's free to air. And KBC reaches where other stations don't even reach. If you want to talk to a Kenyan, mwananchi wa kawaida, KBC is the place to go. Because being free to air, and then the signals are so powerful all over, because majority of the people pick their signals from there. So their presence is all over. So they have a solid, I believe, if not 2 million, 3 million. Which is almost, mtu akiamuka ni hii. Then I discovered we live in an age where people watch TV for programs. It's not loyalty to a station.
Yes.
It's loyalty to a program.
Yes.
And I remember the show had grown to a point that we were ever top 5.
This is Angaza now.
Yes, ukianza kwa the same, unahesabu news nini, then unatokea hapo.
Wow.
And there are these kind of programs that have their own audience because of their reporting. So KBC has its own very unique audience, people who have been there watching and all that. Right now there is a whole revamp and a whole transition. Even when you look at it, you'll sense a lot has gone into the way things were done. They're even working on that perception of KBC, who watches KBC.
I get it.
And that's on new players kama kina Chipkizi coming on board. And then there's that general intention of the government to make sure that it's not just the national station, but it's one of the leading stations.
I get it.
So that the government can use it to dispense information. Because it spends a lot of money on advertisement on other media houses.
Yes.
So for me, the media space is very powerful. You will be so surprised that no matter how digital we go, there's still an audience that remains on that platform. So what happens is now diversity of platforms. you still have this platform in the media, but still penetrate on these other platforms so that the content you share is also available on YouTube
Yes.
and also available on these other platforms where people watch. Because the agreement I have with KBC, whatever we record for Angaza, I can air it on my platforms.
Oh, nice.
So now it's one conversation. I just have an interview, and now I can release it on my platforms.
That's cool, because even you've got your following. So, but now at Angaza,
Yes.
you start, because you had an interview format as well.
Yes.
Where you had, so it began, you became a touch point for the industry.
Yeah, it was edutainment. I was more concerned on entertaining and educating because of the demographic. You know, you're looking at young people. And then when I got there, the Lord told me, I didn't bring you here to be a celebrity. I brought you as my mouthpiece. Sometimes when instructions are louder, you become sensitive because you know what has given me this position is if I do this thing. The day I stop doing this thing, then this position automatically dies. And KBC, by the grace of God, introduced me to Kenya and to the ordinary mwananchi, and even to a generation that was older than me.
Yes.
So it gave me that point of, oh, I know you from KBC, I know you from KBC, I know you from KBC. And many parents, I'll say this with a lot of humility, will say, you know, we are so happy that there is a young man on air who is grounded in the word. So I discovered also the Lord was using it as a platform of role modeling. That young people can watch and say, you know what, kumbe unaweza kuwa rapper, unaweza kuwa mtu ana swag, lakini you know the Bible. Because I feel like sometimes it looks like once you're on this side, you don't need to be deep. Once you're deep, wait after suti na sharpshooter za white, weko apostle. But it looks like wezi vaa jeans, upige tu look yako poa, but ukwe you are sure about what you believe in. So I believe God introduced me there by his own grace just to encourage and motivate a generation that we can know our stuff and still be young and still enjoy our youthfulness.
Wow.
Yeah.
In terms of, again, I'll ask it, because you had this platform,
Yeah.
now you got to meet everybody in the industry because they wanted to come and promote themselves on your show.
Yeah, now that gave me advantage. You remember back in the days, tukifanya ma rapping competition Narok, there's a time we won money. And one of the people, I won't mention his name, was very instrumental. We were not given that money. Tukapromisiwa tutakuja kurecord homeboys, nini, but that team never gave us the money and we were very bitter. And I remember one of the musicians said, Mungu sio nyanya ya mtu. You know, he's not a respect of persons. And I remember I hosted him on Angaza show. And he was the one begging for the show. And I remembered what he said then. Mungu sio nyanya ya mtu. Of course, it's not the best way theologically to put it.
Yes, I get it.
But, you know, ukiingia tu kwa slang, inakumekia sense. And it really humbled my heart because we were mishandled when we were nobodies.
Yes.
And now
this
here
person,
you need me to give you a platform. And it was a great lesson that never despise anyone you meet on this journey because you never know who they will be tomorrow.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Tell me at least one memorable moment or two memorable moments that for you really stood out in your years of doing this. You've been on TV for how many years?
We did Angaza for 10 years.
Now you're back.
Now we are back. But now this time more of conversations.
Yes.
And the Lord spoke to me. I remember I told my wife, I sense the grace is ending in KBC. And immediately, the guys called us and said, you know what? You are part of the best performing, but we can't do the same thing for 10 years. Come up with something new, innovate. Then we were suspended for almost 6 months. So now we came up with something new, which is more conversations, because I told them, podcast are the order of the day. People are now looking for conversations. They said, okay, let's try it. And now slowly it's now picking up.
Nice.
Which I'm very excited about. But the Lord told me, I'm putting a pause to Mr. T. And I want to introduce Pastor T.
Nice.
So the whole, again, restructuring. Because you see, again, when God gives you an office, there is an intention to that office.
Yep.
Because one of the things that is a reality, our generation is unpastored. Hatuna mapasi wanaongelesha generation. So our generation is unpastored, and that's why they are unchurched.
Yep.
So the Lord said, I'm going to now return you as a pastor. So I didn't know whether I'll go back preaching, but later I realized our generation is not very much connecting with praise the Lord,
Yes.
hallelujah. This is how you preach to them.
Yep, it's intellectual conversations.
Yeah.
Throwing that are also very spiritual.
Yes, yes.
And demystifying. They are clever. They're clever.
Yes, Sonika Jambia, God in his own wisdom knows what he's doing. So I take that very heavily, knowing what media can do to a generation and the opportunity that we have. So yes, this introduced me to the industry, created a lot of friendship, created a lot of networks, and it brought a lot of responsibility of just saying, I now stand at a gate where I can be a blessing, and also where also I can also be a gatekeeper. We can control what is aired. If we want mediocrity to take over, we'll be there and make sure that mediocrity takes over. If you want soundness and genuineness to take over, that's it. Angaza was and is still known. It was known for maturity. Like you can watch it with your child, a mother, father, a whole family can watch, and everyone will get something. So, and that is what we were always looking for, that family show.
Did you have one host your whole time there, or you interchanged?
We kept on changing, and I bless the Lord that the people who came again, it was more like mentorship. I remember we hosted with Bahati, somebody called Bahati. Is it Grace Bahati? Then she ended up in Pambio. We hosted with DJ Raf was a DJ.
Yes.
He ended up in Pambio.
Pambio as well.
DJ San, the current one doing crossover. There's a time we were doing, he was like the...
DJ who?
DJ San.
San?
Yana anafanya crossover saizi.
Oh.
Alikuanga kama mse wa technical support. Kuna jamaa ko Inoro anaitwa DJ Covenant. Akona Dredi. That guy used to be the one alikuwa anabebanga tu ma cases anatuconnectia and all that, because DJ Nevs became such a father to mentor these guys.
Yes, Neville,
yes. So
DJ Nevs.
So majority of these guys, they most of them, when we didn't have anything to do, walikuwa nakuja. Sometimes also Steve Wetindi is such a father, because Steve Wetindi alikuwa na ability ya kuona potential, and he was patient to see you grow. Because he's the one who brought Grace Kirapa. Straight from high school. Grace akikuja kwa show tulikuwa tunamuenjoy, tunamwambia anavaa kawa Korino. Alikuwa tu ile umetoka high school.
Grace came to shows on KBC?
Yeah, we hosted with Grace Kirapa, DJ 21.
Then she went to...
Yeah, then she went to NTV. NTV wakampoach. Then we hosted with a certain lady also called Helen Ahura. Then wakampoach.
Hey, Helen Ahura was once my employee. How should clear is that?
Yes.
So, Helen was in KBC?
Yeah, tuli host na sometimes.
Oh yes, you hosted with her, I remember.
Yeah. So you can see the kind of, for me, I get very excited. The final person we hosted with, Nisi, now is a news anchor in KBC. So it became, and all the camera people who used to do Angaza, in 1 year, all of them used to get promoted. It was like, you do Angaza, this is your door.
It's a stepping stone.
It's a stepping stone. Then some will even get blessed. Sometimes, even, na show imeisha, mtu anasema mazee pasini prayer. It was so amazing. And it's still amazing, just seeing the people. Then we also hosted with a certain lady called Jackie Masava. Now she's in Y254. We introduced the first female DJ 21. And she did an amazing job in that season, DJ Need Tracks. So many people, it became a platform for just launching. Mi nafikiria ndio legend.
When we got consistent, bro.
Alpha Omega. But we bless God that some of these people even got greater opportunities than where we were. And for me, I believe that's the spirit of mentorship.
Hey, that's big up for that. Hey, congrats. And thank you. You guys, even the amount of music that you used to play from us hip hop guys was a lot. To be honest, I was not a watcher of KBC, but I'd get feedback. Yes. It's even where I was just like, I know it's an audience. Yeah, it's got its own audience. I used to come to KBC, as I was telling you before, to input content into the system. People have no idea the power and the legend that KBC is in terms of this whole digital movement of stations coming. I used to meet with guys from Three Stones there and other places. Anyway, back. Okay, you leave this job. Where do we go next from that?
Masters. My plan now is to do my masters.